Okay, so let's finish going over the study guide. Let's talk about populations. Okay, it says list 4 factors that affect the size of a population. Well, you'll remember population was affected by 4 things, and it was immigration with an I, which is when individuals move into a population. It was births, immigration with an E, when individuals move out of a population, and the death rate. All of those are going to determine how large a population is. Okay, number 32 says distinguish between exponential and logistic population growth. Okay, let's look here. Remember, exponential growth is when the birth rate greatly exceeds the death rate. And what you end up getting is what we call a J curve, okay, because it is increasing. Logistic growth is when population begins with a period of slow growth followed by a brief period of exponential growth before leveling off. So here's logistic growth, and it forms an S curve. It grows for a little while and then levels off. Now this point where it levels off is called carrying capacity. Carrying capacity, if you'll remember, is the maximum number of individuals an environment can support. So just remember, we can only grow so large before we start leveling off, because the earth can only hold so many people. 33, exponential growth forms a J curve. Logistic growth forms an S curve. 34, the maximum number of individuals an environment can support is called the carrying capacity. Okay, 35, this is where people have a hard time. It says list 3 density-dependent limiting factors and 3 density-independent limiting factors. Okay, let's look at this. This is the one that everybody has a hard time with. Okay, if you remember, density-dependent factors, their effect depends on how large the population is or how crowded it is. Examples of density-dependent factors are competition, predation, parasitism, and disease. Remember how I talked about if Ebola broke out in New York City, that would be a really big deal. But if it broke out in like Montana, where there can be 10 to 20 miles between each house, the effect wouldn't be as large. On the other hand, density-independent factors, their effect depends on how crowded it is. Their effect, let me change this. Okay, it affects the population regardless of its size. Unusual weather, natural disasters, and human activities are examples of density-independent factors. Okay, moving on to the human impact. Okay, let's look at 36. It says to distinguish between a renewable and non-renewable resource and to list 2 examples of each. Remember, renewable, you can use them over and over again and you won't run out. That would be like trees and water. Non-renewable is basically you're going to use them up faster than what you have, and those are fossil fuels and metals. What is pollution? It's just the release of harmful substances into the air, water, or soil. 38, what is the main cause of pollution? Well, the main cause of pollution is basically the burning of fossil fuels. I'm going to give them, hold on just a second. Okay. 38 says, what is the main cause of pollution, and name the 6 main pollutants released. Well, if you look at this, the main cause of pollution is the burning of fossil fuels, and the 6 main pollutants released are smoke, dust, ash, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and sulfur oxides. Okay, 39. Small particles of dust, soot, and other airborne solids are called particulates. Remember, those are tiny particles that you breathe in when you don't know that you are. They can be very harmful to your health because they can damage your respiratory system. Okay, they come from the burning of fossil fuels also. Okay, look at number 40. What is smog and who is smog harmful to? Okay, smog is just when it's a visible haze that forms when smoke and gases from burning fuels combine with the fog, and it's especially harmful to people with asthma and other lung diseases. If you ever watch the news in the summertime, a lot of times it'll say there's a smog alert. Please keep people with respiratory problems from going outside. Number 41, what is acid rain? List 3 examples of damage caused by acid rain. Well, acid rain is basically precipitation with a lower than normal pH, and it is caused when nitric acid and sulfuric acid from the burning of fossil fuels combines with the clouds. And the reason that it is harmful is because it kills trees, it kills lots of other plants, it erodes buildings, and it kills aquatic organisms. Because think about it, those organisms are adapted to living in a certain water with a certain pH. So if you're continuously getting acid rain, it can damage aquatic ecosystems to a great extent. Okay, number 42, it says, what would the earth be like without the greenhouse effect? Basically, it would be too cold to even live here. Remember, the greenhouse effect is where the sun's rays gets trapped in the earth. It keeps our planet to the temperature that it needs to be. 43, what is global warming? What causes it, and what effect has global warming had on the planet? Let's look here. Basically, global warming is an increase in the Earth's average temperature. It's also caused by the burning of fossil fuels, which causes an excess of carbon dioxide. And basically, the rise in temperatures have caused the glaciers to melt, which results in a rise in sea level and flooding. And remember that a lot of things have lost their habitats too. Okay, number 44, what is deforestation? It is what it says it is. It's when we cut down trees for our benefit, either to use the logs for lumber or to turn land into ranches and farms for cattle. Okay, remember this is a huge ordeal because it destroys habitats and contributes to global warming also because it's, we're getting rid of the plants that take this excess carbon dioxide out of the air. This is the whole reason that I showed you the Lorax movie and that we did the lab with the tribes. Okay, number 45, what is the purpose of the ozone layer? What is causing the thinning of the ozone layer? And where do CFCs come from? Okay, so basically, the ozone layer is this layer of oxygen molecules above the Earth that absorb harmful UV light. Okay, it is thinning, and it's because of CFCs that can be found in aerosol cans, styrofoam, Freon that can be found in refrigerators and air conditionings. But we also talked about how this is actually being reversed a little bit. The hole in the ozone layer is getting smaller because we've taken these CFCs or chlorofluorocarbons out of these substances that we use today. Okay, number 46, name 6 common water pollutants. Okay, 6 common water pollutants. We need to take care of our water because it's where we get our drinking water from. But 6 common contaminants include sewage. You don't want that because of E. coli and other bacterial infections. Chemical waste, fertilizers, pesticides, animal waste, and detergents. All of those things get in the water and pollute it. Okay, number 47, how have humans impacted biodiversity? If you'll remember from our very first unit, biodiversity is the variety of life in a given area. We have had a tremendous impact on biodiversity. We have decreased it, okay, because we've destroyed so many habitats. Many organisms are threatened, endangered, or extinct because of humans. Okay, and why do we care that the so-and-so fish becomes extinct? Well, just remember that everything's connected and we are all dependent on all forms of life in some way. It's the whole circle of life, the whole food web, food chain, everything is connected. All right, now, because of time and because of me being absent, I didn't get to go over plant and animal behavior very much. So I'm going to go over this. There's not much of this on your test, but I'm going to go over a few of these questions. Number 48, a plant's response to gravity is called geotropism. Geotropism. It causes roots to grow down and stems to grow up. And then I see a little typo here where it says a plant's response to gravity. That gravity should be right there. That should say light. Okay? That should say light. So a plant's response to light is called phototropism. And then thigmotropism is a plant's response to touch. Yes, plants do have behaviors. That's what the tropism is. Okay, we're going to skip 49 and 50. Structural and functional plant adaptations. We're going to do that a little bit later. Let's talk about animal behavior just briefly. I think you already know most of this anyway. 51, the coloring or patterns that enable an organism to blend in with its surroundings is called camouflage. Let's skip the 3 types of camouflage for now. We have talked about mimicry a little bit. Remember, that's when an organism that is not harmful can copy or mimic something that is. I talk about the snakes a lot of times. Red and black, pat them on the back. Red touches yellow will kill a fellow. Also, the monarch and viceroy butterfly, one's poisonous and one's not, but they look alike. 53 examples of chemical defenses. That would be like the ability of a skunk to release an odor, the ability of some frogs to shoot out a very harmful acid that gets on your skin. Okay, 54, a behavior that animals is born with is an innate behavior, innate, I-N-N-A-T-E. Okay, 55, a complex pattern of innate behaviors is called an instinct. Okay, 56, what spaces does a territory include? Remember, it's where an organism lives, where it's going to hunt, where it's going to mate. Okay, 57, the seasonal movement of animals is called migration. 58, distinguish between hibernation and estivation. Basically, hibernation is when animals go into a hiding spot because it's cold. Estivation is where they go into a hiding spot because it's hot. So things that live in the tundra would hibernate, whereas things that lived in the desert would estivate. Okay, 59, give it 3 examples of learned behaviors. You learn how to walk by watching your parents. You learn how to talk by watching your parents. Okay? You learn how to sit up by watching your parents. Okay, and then 60, what is imprinting? Give an example. Imprinting is when an organism copies the first thing they see after they're born. An example I like to use is that a lot of times baby ducks, whatever they see when they're born is what they copy. I've got a YouTube video of a baby duck thinking a puppy was its mama and following it around. But again, there's not a lot of questions about the animal behavior or plant behavior. Okay, that sums up our ecology study guide. Please study for your test. I hope you do well. Good luck.